Hello friends, welcome to PHP video tutorials series. In this video tutorial, I would like to discuss local scope versus global scope. What is scope? Scope indicates the accessibility and visibility of variables. Scope indicates the accessibility and visibility of variables. That is, where you can access a variable, where you cannot access a variable is determined by the scope, guys. PHP variables will be either in local scope or in global scope. Let's understand the difference between local scope and global scope. Local scope. Any variable declared inside a function is considered as it is in the local scope or function scope. Any variable declared inside a function is considered as it is in the local scope or the global scope. Local scope variable can be accessible only inside that function where it is declared. You cannot access a local scope variable outside the function, guys. Local scope variable can be accessible only inside the function where it is declared. Let's have a demo and understand clearly. I go to WAMP server www directory. Within the www directory, we have created default.php file. I right click on it, say open with the notepad. You can see that default.php file is open inside the notepad. It has the basic HTML5 document structure code. Title is set to default page. Here in the body section, I say less than $PHP, which indicates the beginning of the PHP code, greater than, which indicates the end of the PHP code. Here I say function display bracket opening flower bracket closing flower bracket. I create a variable b and put the value inside it 10. Any variable declared inside a function is considered as it is in the local scope. And local scope variable can be accessible only inside the function where it is declared. That means I can say here echo b equal to $b and then move the cursor to the next line. I'm going to call the display function bracket semicolon. When we call the display function, we know that control enters into the display function body, creates a variable b, puts the value inside it 10, echo displays b equal to 10 and moves the cursor to the next line, and the control comes back. If I say file, save, go to browser, here I say localhost /default.php. We know that localhost points to WAMP server www directory. Within that we have default.php file. To execute it, I must say localhost /default.php. I hit enter. You see that default.php file is executed. We got the output saying b equal to 10. If I try to access the b outside the function, we get the error. If I say here down echo b equal to $b and then move the cursor to the next line. I say file, save, go to browser and refresh. We got the error saying undefined variable b. b you cannot access outside the function. That's what it is telling. There is no b outside the function, right? Note, local scope variables will be available only in the function execution. That is, local scope variables are created as soon as the control enters the function body and deleted as soon as the control exits the function body. Local scope variables are created as soon as the control enters the function body and deleted as soon as the control exits the function body. Let me explain this more clearly. I'm going to copy this code from here. I go to MS Paint and paste that code here for explanation. Let's understand step by step. When we call the display function, of course control enters the display function body. When the control enters the display function body, what happens is, for the display function, there will be an area created in the local scope, guys. For the display function, there will be an area allocated in the local scope. Inside that area, it creates a memory location or memory locations for local scope variables. Here we have b, so memory location for b is created. Inside that value 10 will be stored. That's what happens when this line is executed. And then echo, we are telling display the value of b. It displays the 10 and moves the cursor to the next line. Once the control comes back, the memory locations allocated for the local scope variables of the display function are deleted. And then the control comes down. We are telling display the value of b here. There is no b in the memory, so it shows undefined error. I hope you guys have clearly understood, right? Remember that any variable declared inside a function is considered as it is in the local scope or the function scope. Local scope variable can be accessible only inside that function where it is declared. You cannot access that variable outside that function. Local scope variables are created as soon as the control enters the function body and deleted as soon as the control exits the function body. Let's understand now global scope. Any variable declared outside the function is considered as it is in the global scope. Let me explain it more clearly. I just go back here. I'm going to delete this code from here. I say file, save, go to browser and refresh. Okay, nothing is displayed. Let's come back. So remember that any variable declared outside a function is considered as it is in the global scope. Here $a is in the global scope because it is declared outside the function. Understanding? And next point is global scope variables can be accessible anywhere in the script. You can access the $a outside the function as well as inside any function. So what I am going to do, I am going to write this code and explain more clearly. I am going to create one variable here called as $a and put the value inside it 10. Now a is in the global scope. I can access this anywhere I want. I can just say here echo and say a equal to, and then I say $a and move the cursor to the next line. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, we got the output saying a equal to 10. That's good. I go back here. I'm going to create a function now. Function. I say here display bracket bracket, opening flower bracket, closing flower bracket, and then I call the display function bracket bracket semicolon. Here I want to access this a variable inside the display function and display the value of a. If I say here echo a equal to comma $a and then move the cursor to the next line, we will get the error saying undefined a variable, guys. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, you see we got the error saying undefined variable a. It is telling that there is no a variable inside the local scope. If you want to access the global scope variable, what you have to do? You can see that I have told here global scope variables will be available throughout the script execution, but if you want to access the global scope variable inside a local scope, you must use the global keyword. So what you have to do is, you should tell here that global space $a. Now you are telling that I want to access the global scope variable a inside the local scope. So now if I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, you see we got the output saying a equal to 10. So you can access a global scope variable inside the local scope also, but you should use the global keyword. Let me explain how this code is going to get executed. I'm going to copy this code. I go to MS Paint and I paste that code in this place, and let me format it properly. Okay. Now when the script is executed, first this statement will get executed. What happens here is, in the global scope, a variable will be created. Inside that the value 10 will be stored. And when you say echo display the value of a, which is in the global scope, it displays 10. And then display function will be called. When the display function is called, we know that for the display function in the local scope, the area will be created or allocated. I just say here display, and it creates the local scope variables for the display function, that is a is there here. It creates one memory location for a, and that a is going to refer to the global a. And when you say display the value of a, what you are actually saying here is display the value at a is pointing. The value at a is pointing is 10, so it displays 10. And then after all the statements are executed, we know that the control comes back. When the control comes back, the area allocated for the display function and its local variables are going to be deleted, guys. So that is how you can refer a global scope variable inside the local scope and use it, guys. I hope you guys have clearly understood. Let's take another example for understanding purpose. You can see that I am going to create one variable a with the value 10 in the global scope, and we can display that. Of course, I can do that. I am going to delete this code so that I can explain. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, we get the output saying a equal to 10. Good. Next, I am going to create one more variable called as b in the global scope. I say here $b and put the value inside it 20. I can access this in the global scope. I just say here echo b equal to display the value of b. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, we get b equal to 20. Good. Next, I am going to create a function here. I say function and say display function, opening flower bracket, closing flower bracket. I call the display function. Inside this, I am going to access the variable a. If I say here echo a equal to comma $a and then I say br, of course we get the error because we don't have the a inside the display function. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, we get the output saying undefined variable a. I want to refer this global a inside the display function. So what I have to do, guys? I should say here $a with global keyword, right? Global space $a. Now we get the output here 10. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You see we got a equal to 10. If I say here down echo b equal to $b and then I move the cursor to the next line, what happens here? We get the undefined error because we don't have b in the local scope here inside the display function. If I say file, save, go to browser and refresh, you got the error saying undefined variable b. So to access this global scope variable b inside the local scope, what I have to do, guys? Here I should say global $b and semicolon. Now we get here 20. I say file, save, go to browser and refresh. You see we got b 20. I go back here. Now what I do, I want to change the value of global variable b. As we are referring the b inside the local scope, I can say here $b equal to 30 and I can display the value of b here. We should get here 30. I say file, save, go to browser and refresh. You see we got 30. If I display outside the value of b here after calling the function, we'll get 30, guys. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You see we got b equal to 30. Let me explain how this code is executing so that you get the clear idea. I'm going to copy this code from here. I go to MS Paint and paste that code in this place. And let me format it properly so that we can see the entire content properly here. Okay? So that I can explain it properly. Okay? First, this statement will get executed. A variable will be created in the global scope. Correct? Inside that 10 value will be stored. And we are saying here echo display the value of a which is in the global scope. Of course, we get here 10. And then we are telling to create b in the global scope. So it creates one more memory location for b and puts the value inside it 20. And we are telling here display the value of b. Of course, in the global scope we have b and it displays 20. And then the display function will be called. When the display function is called, the control moves to the display function. Of course, in the local scope there will be a memory location allocated for the display function. And then what happens, guys? One variable will be created called as a. So it creates one variable called as a inside the local scope, and that a is referring to global a. That's what we are saying here. And when we say echo $a, we are telling that display the value at a is pointing, or the value at a is referring. That is, a is referring to global a. So we'll get here 10. And then it creates one more memory location for b variable, and that b is referring to global b. So what happens here when we say echo B, it is going to display the value at B is pointing. So we'll get here 20. And then we are telling the value at B should be 30. The value at B should be 30 now. So it is going to become 30 guys. And then what happens? We are telling here display the value at B is pointing. So 30 will be displayed here. After executing all the statements, the control comes back. We know that when the control comes back, this memory block is going to be deleted. All the local variables for the display function are going to be removed from the local scope. And then we are telling display the value of B. It is going to check whether there is a B in the global scope. Of course, there is a B in the global scope. Its value is 30. It displays that. That's how the code works, guys. I hope you guys are clearly understanding what is the difference between local scope and global scope, how they are created and removed. When the entire script is executed, of course the global scope variables are also going to be removed, guys. Let's see one more example. This time what I do, instead of referring to the global B, I am going to create a local B and put the value inside it 30, and here I say 40. Let's see what happens when this code is executed. Okay, I am going to copy this code from here for explanation purpose. I am going to copy this code and I go back to the MS Paint here. I am going to delete this and delete this, and I paste the code in this place. And let me format it properly so that I can explain it clearly. Okay, I make it black. Let's understand now what happens. First, a variable will be created in the global scope and A is going to have the value 10. And then we are telling display the value of A, which is in the global scope. Of course 10 will be displayed. Then you are telling to create one more memory location called as B in the global scope. Put the value inside it 20 and display the value of P, which is in the global scope. Of course we get 20. And then the display function will be called. The control goes to the display function. In the local scope, the memory location will be allocated for the display function local variables. So what happens here? It creates one memory location for A. It creates one memory location for A, and that A is going to refer to the global A. That's what we are saying here, global A. And when we say echo, display the value at A is pointing. The value at A is pointing is 10. And then we are telling to create one memory location B in the local scope, put the value inside it 30. So what happens here? It creates one memory location for B and puts the value inside it 30, guys. So it's a local B, this is a global B. We are not referring the global B inside the local display function, guys. Understanding? And then we are saying here echo display the value of B. So in the local we have the B variable, it displays 30, the value of B. We are not referring the global B, right? Next we are telling the value of B should be 40. So what happens here? This B is going to be replaced to 40. And then we are telling display the value of B. The value of B is going to be 40. After executing all the statements, the control comes back. Of course, the allocated memory location for display is going to be removed from the local scope. And then echo, we are telling display the value of B, which is in the global scope, that is 20. So we get the output 10, 20, 10, 30, 40, 20. Let's see that. I say file, save, go to browser and refresh. We got 10, 20, 10. That's what we have here. 10, 20, 10. Then 30, 40, 20. We should have in the output 30, 40, 20. I hope you guys have clearly understood how the local scope and global scope works in PHP. So remember that scope indicates the accessibility and visibility of variables. PHP variables will be either in the local scope or in the global scope. Any variable declared inside a function is considered as it is in the local scope. Any variable declared outside a function is considered as it is in the global scope. Local scope variable can be accessible only inside that function where it is declared. Global scope variable can be accessible anywhere in the script. Local scope variables will be available only in the function execution. That is, local scope variables are created as soon as the control enters the function body and deleted as soon as the control exits the function body. Global scope variables will be available throughout the script execution. If you want to access the global scope variable inside the local scope, you must use the global keyword. That's it guys. I suggest you people to watch this video again and again, understand everything clearly, try this code yourself, experiment with more example. In the upcoming video tutorials, we are going to discuss more about PHP. For more benefits and be up to date, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment and share these videos with others so that everyone will get benefited. Keep learning, keep coding, keep sharing. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. See you in the next tutorial.